Hello again, I'm Larry Hamilton. Thank you for watching my YouTube painting channel. Today we're doing an oil painting, and I have a little bit different introduction today because I forgot to turn my camera on when I started. So I'm doing my introduction at the end. This is what the painting will look like, but we're painting this painting for our May 20th oil painting class, and this is what we'll be doing in that class. And it's on 11 by 14 canvas as usual with the gray gesso tone. And basically I have a sketch that I have on the canvas, and I will overlay that on the painting, on the video when I do the editing, and then I will go through the brushes and the paints and we'll get started. So that's my intro for this, and so I'll see you in a moment. I have my photograph as usual, and I have a value map that I've created, but I also always take the time to do a value sketch. And I don't know if you can see this very well. I'll see if I can zoom in on it here and basically just show you the kind of sketch that I do before I start painting, just to get sort of an idea of the composition, get an idea of the values, and get an idea of how it will look on a smaller palette. When you take a photograph outside, you see the whole scene, and it's really hard to tell what it looks like on a small footprint like this. So anyway, that is my sketch, and I usually do that all the time. So I want to get going here today. I've got a sketch already done on my canvas. We're painting on 11 by 14 canvas as usual, and I think you can maybe see the sketch there, hopefully. And I'll try to make sure that you can see enough of the canvas so you can see all of it. And I think that's all I want to talk about right now, other than go through the brushes with you and go through the paints as I usually do. And we'll get going. The brushes are the typical set we use from Bob Ross. We have a 1-inch landscape brush. We have a number 3 fan brush. I have a large painting knife that I use. Have the script liner, the small number 2 script liner, and I had a couple of brushes. I had a filbert and a bright from Dick Blick that are added to the palette. And I also have another brush that's actually a watercolor brush that I use once in a while. It's called a Taklon, golden Taklon brush, and it gets some very nice sharp edges, particularly when we're painting around buildings or something that has a very definite geometric shape. So I may not use all these brushes, but I thought I would tell you those. And then also I will go through with you the paints very quickly here. And I have them on my vertical palette that's made of glass, and as you can see, I'm having a little bit of running. These are oily paints and they tend to run down the glass, but I try to keep them under control. Let me go through the paints here. We have titanium white, we have phthalo blue, Prussian blue, midnight black, Van Dyke brown, dark sienna, alizarin crimson, sap green, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and bright red. Those are all Bob Ross colors. I have added a Grumbacher ultramarine violet here, and I have another Bob Ross color that's it's one of his floral colors. It's just called flower pink. So we may use some of those, may not use all those colors, but that's what we're going to start with, and we'll have them available. And so without any more talking from me, I want to get going on this. I'm going to get out some liquid white. You know, we put liquid white on selective areas of the painting that I do instead of covering the entire canvas, because that wipes out any drawing that I may have. So I'm going to start with this big brush, 1-inch landscape brush with some liquid white, and start going up here in the sky area, and we'll just start covering this canvas with some liquid white. And it just helps the paint flow much easier and helps it get some very nice sky effects that Bob Ross was always known for. And it makes the paint go a lot further as well. As I said earlier, there's a lot of green in this painting, so I'm not going to try to make it all green. I'm going to basically change the colors in the background. We're going to put some, add a little more blues to the colors and try to give it a little more depth. This isn't a scene that has a lot of depth in it, actually. Not like a mountain scene that I usually do where you have a lot of distance. Here we're going to just work on the depth in the trees that are in the background here and see if we can get some different values to represent the distance in this painting. That's a little more up here. See how this goes here. Okay, something like this. Just leaving some room for some branches, making sure I got room to put my sky colors in behind this big tree on the left side. And that's kind of it. Got some water in here. We have a little lake that's right in here that we're going to be able to put some reflections in, which will be nice. And big tree and maybe a shadow from the tree. And so if you notice the painting or the video, the photograph, it has very bright sunlight hitting from the left side over here. And we're going to try to leave that in the background, or middle ground actually I should say, and hopefully it will give it a little more depth in this painting as well. So, alright, I think that's enough for liquid white. Leave it at that. Okay, something like that. So I have a nice interesting line here already on top of these trees. It's not flat, and it has some modulation to it, and I want it to be that way so that we actually have some a nice melodic line up there, as one of my painter teachers talks about, and hopefully that will do it. Okay, I'm going to start, keep the sky very, very light. I'm going to just get a little bit of Prussian blue. It doesn't take much Prussian blue to kill it, to wipe out the colors here. So I'm going to leave this white that's in my brush, and I'm going to get a very light amount of Prussian blue in here, and just start putting in some very light, soft sky shapes up here. A little bit more blue, and put a little bit of violet in there to change the color a little bit. It's not all blue. Some violet over here, go back and pick up a little blue and put on the other side. So I'm just kind of mixing this randomly. So it makes a nice background back here. Light, we want to keep it light. Pick up a few more. Maybe you get a little black in here to get a little dark. Looks like there's a few clouds. This particular sky didn't have a lot of clouds in it, but I want to put something interesting up there. I don't want it to just be all one color. You never want to have a big section of your painting that's all one color. I don't think. I'm sure there are painters who will do that and leave a big section that's all one color, but I'm not crazy about it. Just a tad of alizarin. I always do this to kind of bring it down toward the horizon, or not quite the horizon, but at least the distance back here, to kind of show some depth. The sky, when you paint a painting like this, the sky is, the top of the sky is what's closest to you. So it has, it's usually darker and a little more pronounced because it's closer, and then as you go back in the distance, this is further away back here. So, alright, I think I've got a good base on there. Put a little more white, pick up some more, a cloud or two up here. Just highlight it with some paints that make it look like there's something going on in that sky. A little bit of black here. Alright, these little X strokes give us a nice look of texture in that sky. And as usual, you need to step back, take a look at it, see if it's looking like the light colored sky that I want. I think that's pretty good. A few swipes across like this to smooth out a few of the bumps. Okay, let it go with that, and start taking our next layer now. I'm going to get my filbert brush out, start putting in the distant trees, and filbert brush is this one from Dick Blick. It has this nice little rounded top on it, and makes some very nice tops for trees. So trees in distance need to be more blue than they are green. A blue, put a little alizarin in there to darken up. It has to be darker than the sky, you know, right? Otherwise you won't be able to see them. So just try to get yourself a nice blue color back here for some of these trees. Different colors, put in some blacks maybe. And pick up a little ochre. Some things do look a little green back in there, but we want them to be predominantly blue. Oh no, I forgot to start my recorder. Okay, now we're back. I think I just realized I didn't have my main camera recording going. So now let's see if my main camera's going. I think I'm goofing this thing up because I'm changing my camera setup here and trying to do get a nicer higher resolution camera working, and I forgot to turn it on. Turn on everything else but my camera. Since I'm a one-man show here, I don't have anybody to cross-check me or double-check what I'm doing, and so sometimes I make little mistakes like that. Hopefully I've got a second camera running over here that's picked up everything. I don't know how the sound will be, but we'll check. After this is done, I may have to paint this painting again just to get a good video. I don't know. All right, let's get these trees in here. So I'm just covering the canvas with some mixture of colors here that represent a lot of trees and foliage in the back, in the distance here. I'm making a lot more foliage than is in the original photograph because I want it to give more depth to it. So the way you do that is just make layer after layer of trees. Make sure they go up and down. They're not all one horizontal line back there. So you see some depth coming in with just basically just touching the canvas with this filbert brush and pushing up and letting the soft edge sort of blend with the sky back there. Pick up some ochres, throw them in here, pick up a little sap green in some places. So I leave room for my big tree over here. As they come down, they start getting a little darker and a little more hard to see. Start picking up some browns here. A few. The area back here is going to have some top of my barn. I have a little barn setting here that's I want to paint around. Top of this barn. Pick up a little bit lighter colors in some of these areas and then darken it down in front of it, which will give us another layer. Hopefully you're getting the sense that we have a lot of trees back in here. Okay, just take our time and fill this all in around here. Lighten it up a little bit. Next to this tree, we want it to be a little lighter maybe. We want the tree to be able to stand out, so let's not make it too dark around this trunk. Leaving some room here to put another little tree over this tree that's in the middle ground. And over here we're starting to get some more greens. Some of these trees are starting to get some sun to hit on them, so I'm going to just pop this in right here like that. Step back, take a look. These trees on the right have a little brighter areas. So let's just pop them in, pop in some things over here that look like trees, that look like change the color, change the value, add some darks in there that give it some depth. If you can get 2 or 3 values in trees like this, you'll start showing depth, show definition between trees. So I'm just coming back with my Prussian blue there with my to show this depth, and putting just little marks in there that give it the appearance of. So that's pretty close. I got another tree I want to put in here. I'm going to pick up some of this ochre and a little bit of alizarin and see if I can sort of lighten this area back in here. make it look like it's got a little depth in it back there. Even over here. We'll put in a few tree trunks in a minute to make that stand out. Up here we got the tree line continues over here. The other side of this tree, so I'm doing what in watercolor painting we would call negative painting, going around this tree. Oil painters don't tend to do as much of that as watercolor painters do because they can always paint over things a lot easier with oil paints than you can with watercolors. So negative painting is not something usually done a lot of with oil painters. But I'm doing it here because I want to leave this tree out and let you see it. Okay, that's that. There's a branch there. This comes down and there's a dark area here that's sort of area, I guess this is sort of the horizon line. I would think, yes, this is the horizon line right in here. So I'm going to make it a little darker. Alright, so I'm getting a lot of tree shapes, a lot of interesting things going on back here. A few more darks in here to help carve out some of these trees, make it look like there's something going on back here. Something like that. That's what I want. Horizon right there. Okay. All right. Got a nice grouping of trees over here. They're starting to stand out. I have not washed this brush out yet. Since I started painting these colors, I've just mixed on the palette, mixed on the canvas, gone back, changed the color, remixed, and kept it very interesting. It gives me a lot of variegation of color, and so that's kind of what I'm trying for in some of these paintings. Okay, there. The rest of this has got a bright green color to it. This tree over here, I think I've got maybe a little more, put in just a little more dark in here. I'm going to pop another brighter tree over that, but put in some darks in here. Something like that. There. Okay. Okay, let's stop a minute, step back, walk away, take a look. Okay. All right. Let's see, maybe I can put in another tree. I need to get some of this dark paint out of this brush, or just pick up another filbert. I've got an extra filbert over here, so I'm going to pick it up and start putting in some other trees that have a lot more green in them. There's a couple of trees that have a lot of green in them, like right in here. Bright green, really. I'm just going to pop this in right here like this. As I pick up that other color, it starts mixing with the yellow and gives me it dulls it down a little bit, but just using cad yellow almost right out of the tube here. Make this bright little yellow tree sort of stand out right in here. Okay, just putting in some leaves and some interesting colors on there. Okay, this one over here I'm going to sort of turn into a bit of a redbud tree, I think. Gray that down in some areas. Get another value in here. If you add a little red with that green, you will gray the green down. You know why that is, because red is across the color wheel from green. And when you mix them, you will gray it down. Okay, a few reddish things in here. Add some color back in there. There's a few more places I want to have some color, so let's do this. Maybe a couple places in here. Just mixing up the colors, just using a little bright red on this filbert and just hitting in some areas that I feel like need it. Okay, we'll leave that alone. All right, this little barn back here has a, I'm going to get my watercolor brush now, this Golden Taklon. I'm going to put this roof on the barn. It's sort of a rusty color. So I'm going to pick up some white along with my dark sienna. Maybe a touch of alizarin. Start popping this little baby in right here. Doesn't look too rusty, does it? A little black. Oh, that's Van Dyke. Gives me a nice sharp edge. Put just a little bit of green in there. By mistake, I picked up the white and it had a little green in it. But there's getting my rusty color roof, or red roof, I guess, white with some red in it. It's sort of a mixture of colors back there. Have a hair right here I'm going to pick up, hopefully. Maybe I'll pick it up. Come on. Grief. There, pick it up by pushing up usually. Repair the damage. Back in here. So this is a white roof of some kind, but it's got a lot of moss and it's really rusty metal, I think, is what it really is. I'll just try to make it look like that, if you can. Okay, the side of the barn is really just a gray, liquid white and black. Not liquid white, titanium white. Pretty much the color of our canvas here. Darken it down in some spots so it's not all one color. And let's put a little bit of a shadow under this eave here so that it stands out. Okay. There that is. A few more touches of dark in here to highlight it just a little more. There we go. Radiate it. Okay. All right. That dark back in there behind the behind this barn is going to be a little darker. It looks like it's not making it stand out enough for me. So I'm putting a little more blue in there and just outlining the back of this edge of the barn so you can see that a little better. If you don't have enough contrast in your painting, things will not show up. Over here, maybe just a tad. Not much, just a little bit to help highlight this edge of the barn. There we go. All right, I think that's looking a little bit the way I want it to. Yeah. All right. Well, I got a little of this. Actually, I'm going to go back and pick up this green now that I had in my brush. This bright green, yellow green. I think I'm going to use another brush. We haven't used a fan brush for a while, so I'm going to force myself to use it. And hopefully we'll be able to pick up this bright yellow color. We'll mix it with some. This ground back here is really bright, really got a lot of bright colors in it. This fan brush is almost too big for this job. Go back and see if I can get my little nylon brush here and see if I can put some sharp edges back here. There we go, something like this. I've got a few other colors in there, little ochres. That won't hurt. Over here, we got the same bright green sticking out. See, this is the back of the lake, so I got to be careful I don't paint down into the lake. Over here is a lot of grass. So it's this ribbon of bright yellow-green grass that floats back here behind this lake. This brush is actually doing it better than my fan brush, actually. Okay. I get stuck on a brush sometimes and can't get off of it. All right, over here, similar colors, maybe mix up a little more ochres in it. Sun is coming from the left, so let's make a little shadow-like behind this barn. I've got a tree trunk I got to put in here, and I'm going to have a few more trees over here somewhere, but I want to get this all in. There we go. We're getting some nice variation. Bright light hitting these areas out here. That cad yellow just makes that area pop. So if you want to make an area pop, like even back here, where there might be a bright, just put a streak of cad yellow in it, and it just makes it really stand out. Okay, I'll just go ahead and paint this in. There's going to be another tree over this, but paint it in for now. All right, how are we doing here? Looking pretty good, looking pretty good. All right. There's a lot more green in here. In this area around us, this is the lake, comes back here. There's a bright area of yellow that, let's see. Yeah, this is the front of the lake, right here. So let me just put in a little more color here to help me know where I'm going with this. That comes back in here like, whoops, back in here like this, actually. More negative painting here. Ochres and yellows and mix it up. Don't make it all the same color. We're going to have some shadows in here from the top of the tree. So So let's just put in a few darks. This whole foreground in here gets even darker because it's shadows coming from trees all over the place here. This is where I might want to use my fan brush now. Pick up some of this darker color and start laying it in. Get some different colors in there. This left corner, I want to make it as darker as I can without violating the color scheme. Pick a couple more ochres in there to sort of lighten it up. Put in some reds to gray it down so it's not quite so bold. So the red starts graying down some of this color. So there is a lot of green, as I said. I'm trying to minimize some of that by using ochre and putting some bright red over it that actually grays the green down. But we have these little bright pop areas that pop back here that make it look even better. Give it some depth. See, that lake is coming down all the way over there. Okay, a little red. Well, paint it in here in a big hurry. Start picking up some more of this yellow. There's a big bright streak of yellow that runs in here like that. So I'm getting some good mixtures of sunlight that's sort of hitting on some of these areas and some darks that are there's some old bushes and stuff around this tree, but I don't want to make it too obvious. All right. Okay, let's stop with the fan brush for now. All right, now we've got this I think I'll put that lake in next. Clean my brushes out a little bit. Okay. This lake has a bank around it on the back side here. So we'll just kind of pop that in. Different colors. Change the color. Give it some variation. So it's not perfectly something like that. It does come all the way over here, and so it just sort of lays in there. Change the color a little bit from real dark brown to a lighter brown. Come back, get some more darks. Okay. So I've painted the back of that lake, the bank. You know how we put in water. We usually use some liquid white. I'm going to see if this little brush will do it here. I'm going to throw in some liquid white right in here. Still using this Taklon brush. Try to make this go right up next to the bank if we can. Something like this. Make this all water over here. I don't think it was that way in the picture, but in the painting or photograph, but we're using a little artistic license here to sort of make it the way we want it. That's why you have an artistic license. Okay, now let's pick up some of this. So the color of water, in this case it was a sort of a brownish looking water, but I'm going to reflect some of the sky. I'm going to pull down some of the bank color, which are these browns. So we'll pull this down like this. Basically just sort of mix that edge up a little bit, get it some initial reflectivity going on. Pick up a few greens and pull in there. See, the water doesn't have a color. It only reflects what's around it or above it, underneath it maybe, or what you see from a mirror, as if in a mirror would see it, if the water is very calm and flat. And that's the way I'm making this. Okay, so I'm getting some nice reflections there, put a little more greenish areas over here. Something like this. And then let's start picking up some sky color. The sky is very light. Got green in my brush. Get it out of there. Don't want green in that brush. Now, did. Sky color's got a little of this. So let's start pulling it in here. The violet and white. Touch of blue. So just vertical brush strokes. Because we got that liquid white under there, it blends and gives us these nice looking vertical streaks. So, sky color. So we're sort of reflecting the bank, the trees, the background, and the sky. Put a little of this color in there. Get some over here. I'm going to sort of fade that out. Okay. Now, what's that looking like? All right. All right, one of the things we always do to sort of smooth that out is to take our big landscape brush, clean it out, make sure it's good and clean, and then just very lightly, just horizontal brush strokes. Just barely touch it, like this. Try to get some of that verticalness out of there. Okay. All right, now We have a tree here, a big tree here, another tree here. I'm going to put a little lilac bush in this area with some of these purples in it, and this is going to be sort of a redbud tree with some some of this flower pink on it. If I don't lose my flower pink, it's sliding right off the palette down here. Got a lot more oil in that flower pink than the other paints. All right, keep it going here. Need some more paper towel. All right, now let's see here. This tree. This tree here has got a lot of gray and black in it and some brown. So I'm going to start with some gray. Got my filbert brush. Gray, some black, and some browns in it. So there's my trunk colors. Back and forth with the grays. Put some dark sienna in it, or dark, dark sienna. Change the color as we go up and down this tree, maybe a little darker at the bottom. Remember, I said the sun was coming from the left, so whatever we do, let's try to put the darker colors on the right here. Something like this. And the lighter colors on the left. Okay, got some more. I'm still using this big filbert brush. It's a number 10 filbert. I'm going to have to come back probably with my fine rigger to do this again, but let's put this in now for... Try to keep it about as the same width if you can going up. This tree goes right out of the painting up here on the top, so we're not going to see the whole tree. But what we see, we want to be fairly straight and majestic looking. Okay. That helps provide distance and perspective as well, because the size of this tree being this big and that barn being that big, you know that there's some depth in this painting, and that's why you do that. Put something large in the front of your painting. Got a hair here. There's a little nub sticking out on some of these. There's a branch that's coming out this way into that tree, and there's another branch coming out up here somewhere like that. Got a couple more branches up here. There's one. Something like that. I'm going to come back with my light, with my rigger and script liner, and sort of touch that up some more. Put a little more texture in here by putting in some other colors. Mix it up, get some, make this bark look rough. This tree is closer to us, so we want to see some bark on this thing. But we don't want to destroy the roundedness. So make sure we keep that right side darker than the left side, if we can. Okay, that's a good start on that tree. Okay, making progress here. Put a little bit of this. Okay. Let me see. Get my script liner out. Script liner, whenever I use this script liner, I always get a lot of thinner on the brush. I want it to be very, very runny. And we're going to see if we can put a few of these branches in here. I'll try to keep from getting my hand on the painting now. But up here we've got thinner, has to be thinner for it to go on well. It has to be thinner than the paint that's under it. This is painting thin over thick here. These are just sort of when I'm quiet, I'm thinking, trying to make sure this, don't screw this up. Once you start putting branches in, it's kind of, there's thousands of branches in here. I'm not painting all these branches. Just sort of giving you the feel of a lot of branches. Over here, same thing. Try to think about, if you can, it's a lot to think about when you're painting, but try to think about the spaces, the negative spaces in between. Like, is that area a good abstract shape, or do I need to add something? The spaces between the branches is as important as what you're putting in here. So this space here needs a little something, so I'm going to throw that in. Throw another branch in like this. This space could use some more something, so I'm going to throw in something like that. And it's making nice, interesting little negative spaces up there. So think about negative spaces. See this big old space here. Could use another something or other. Let's see, let's put another and something like that through there. Okay. Alright, that tree is not really bloomed out too much yet. It still has a lot of bare branches on it. If I have time, I may come back and put a few on there. I have the time, it's just a matter of whether I want to put all this on video or not, how much of it I want to put on video for you, because I know these things get boring. But I want to try to let you see as much as I can. Okay, something like that. Let's stop and look at that. Put in a few shadows here that look like there might be some reflections or something on the bark here that's reflecting. Usually there's branches that sort of reflect in a angular way. Here's one I can put some more stuff on right here. If you have a jiggly hand, sometimes it helps. I'm going to put another tree in there anyway, so I'm not too worried about what that looks like right now, but this is pretty well finished here if I can leave it alone and not keep going back. Okay, let's stop on that. I'm going to get my filbert brush out again, and got this little tree right here that's going to have some pinks in it. So I'm going to see if I can just sort of throw in some little pink things here right now. Put those in first and then come back and put some other things around it. I'm just stippling here, folks, with this, putting this flower pink, it's called, and some white, and just sort of letting it pop on here like this. Throw some more greens in there in a second, but I want to have some variation in value. You can see the value differences, I hope. Darker on the right, and so this is a flowering tree of some sort. Pick up a few pick some alizarin in there, and we'll get some darker colors. Leave some white sitting out on the edges, on the tips. Something like that. Come back and get my script liner and my browns again. Put a tree trunk or two in there. Put one tree trunk if I can. Like right in here. Don't make it straight. Put a few lines in there that are sort of hidden. Okay, that's probably good enough for that. I pick up a little of this greenish color here, bluish green. So I tie the feet to the ground so it doesn't look like it's sitting up there on the bank all by itself. There we go, something like that. Get this other filbert and get some more of this pink in it. I didn't get enough. Still have a section of canvas down here that has some gray in it, where I see the gray canvas shining through. So let's cover that up. Okay, that's good enough. Make this an abstract shape. If you had to draw an outline around it, don't make it a circle. Don't make it a square. Make it an abstract shape. Okay. I need a trunk on this tree over here. Back to my script liner. I'm bouncing brown brushes on you here a little bit, but I'm trying to paint it as much as I can from back to front, but that doesn't always work. Make sure I don't get my hand on the, right in here we have something like this is all we need. Tells you that is a tree sitting there. I want to put some dark things back here in this woods that I didn't put in earlier. Make some other, make it look like there's more going on back there. Okay. Over here maybe there's a few. I could take my knife and scrape something out, but I'm not going to do that right now. That's okay. So we have a nice little pink tree. We have a nice little yellowish tree back there, and then got this tree on the left here that's almost like a pine tree, I think. So I'm just going to grab my filbert and start working him in over here with some yellow and green and ochre, some brown, a little bit too yellow maybe. Let's put a little more green in there. Paint around this tree a little bit. Come back to the yellows here as I come back over this area of this green background. Pick up some blues, dark stuff going on in here. All right, I'm just making a loose tree here. Think about this abstract shape right in here. That looks almost like it's almost symmetrical, so I'm not going to leave that. Let's change it so it's not. You don't want to have symmetrical shapes. You don't want to have clones. As much as possible, get rid of them. Okay. Need a trunk on that guy. Get my script liner out. Just kind of doing these trees one at a time. And I'll pop in a fat trunk on this guy here. Find some other places to stick some branches in here. Actually, that branch that comes off of this tree, I want it to go on like that because it's actually in front of that other tree. So let's do that. Put this in like that. A few things sticking out here to help change that shape. Maybe a few more going up here. Yeah, what the heck. All right. So this guy looks like he's kind of glued on the grass. How do you fix that? How do you put him into the grass? You've heard me say it. We take a brush. You don't even have to have any paint in it. You can just come in and just sort of blur the bottom edge. Sometimes you can do it with your finger if you want, but something like that just sort of connects it to the ground. This one's still the same way. Need to connect him to the ground a little better by just this sort of technique. All right. Really no paint there, just using a dry brush. All right. Over here I was going to put in a little lilac bush of some kind. So lilac bushes have a lot of purple in them. And they're beautiful smelling this time of year when they're blooming. Take some white, take some purple, and just going to start putting in some little lilac right here. So it's going to be a little bush right here in the corner to sort of close this corner off. So I'm just going to pop these in like this. Yeah, you might not know that was going to be a lilac bush. I hadn't told you. I think I was crazy probably putting all this in there. Get some dark in there. We need to have some more darker spots in there. Like that. There is some green in a lilac bush, so go back and pick up some sap green, and throw in a few greens in there like this. Again, I'm thinking abstract shape. Don't have the left side look like the right side. Make sure there's a difference. Some darker colors here. Okay. Something like that is our lilac bush. Started with the purples to start with, and then just filled in with the darker colors behind it. Go back, get the script liner, come back and see if we can put in just a few trunks in there. Well, that's pretty thick, pretty wide. Let me get a little more thinner. There we go, something like this. And then around this lake, there's all kind of stuff growing up. Ochre colors and browns and all kind of stuff here. I'll see if I can put in some, maybe some things we call cattails. I don't know if there were actually any there, but we could put some there. I see a lot of reeds and woody looking things sticking up in the photographs, so I'll just throw in a few things like this. That's almost too thick, too wide. I need a sharper point. It's not looking very good that way. Maybe might be able to do something with my knife here. Just take a little, put in a few things like this. There we go. Put some paint on the edge of this knife and just sort of do that with it. Just kind of stamp with it. Painting with the edge of my knife. A lot of little things going on here. The other way to do it, another technique I've shown you before, get this old fan brush out. It's really good for making those kind of things. Get some ochre or brown in here. Just sort of flick up like this. Look at that. There we go. It's another technique. Just pull up. Get the brown. It's got to be darker than what's behind it or you won't see it. There's a bunch over here actually. Okay, I think I may call that thing finished. Maybe a few over here somewhere, I don't know, I just put a few in. Okay, just to break up that straight line, I don't like that. Mine's almost too straight. All right, step back, take a look again. Okay, I think we have a nice composed little scene. And that's pretty representative of the photograph I took, but it's not exact. So I'm going to say thank you for watching. This is Larry Hamilton saying thanks for watching my YouTube channel, and please subscribe if you haven't, and if you have any questions, leave me a comment, ask me some questions, I'll try to answer them. And until I see you again, I will say so long for now. Thanks for watching. Bye.